Well, have you seen the signs all over the country? They're touting spending stimulus dollars, trillions of your dollars. Now, the signs cost up to $10,000 a pop. Total price tag running into tens of millions, but it's not just about the money. There is a bigger problem with the stimulus signs, and our next guest wants them stopped. Back with us, Republican Congressman Schock of Illinois. So I do want to know first about the money. How much does each one of these signs cost?
Well, David, every state's different. In my state of Illinois, our state Department of Transportation has been pumping them out at about $300 to $600 a piece. We found some signs in the country that have cost well over $10,000 a piece. The worst part, of course, is in each construction project, each repaving section, they'll have up to 6 signs just for each section of paving. But the thing is it's not only the money.
I know, but
these are people that are environmentally.
I'm not finished, Congressman, with the money angle first, because I just saw a bunch of these signs on I-95 driving up to Massachusetts. Why is it that in one place they're $300, another place they're $10,000? I think there might be some corruption at work here.
I guess it depends on your taste by state. The Department of Transportations are really the ones charged with manufacturing them. And we've actually gotten copies of the documents that the federal government sends to the states, and it clearly spells out how big the logo has to be, how the logo is an emblem of President Obama's commitment to spending taxpayer dollars wisely, which is almost an oxymoron that we'd be using the money to make these signs. But some of them are basic sheet metal, and others are quite significant in terms of their structure. We've seen some just down the road here from the Capitol that are quite massive, almost billboard-like.
Okay, now I know you've been dying to get this point out, but the propaganda angle. Now, we should mention that during the 1930s, when FDR engaged in the same kind of sort of stimulus spending that we see now, to no avail, we should emphasize, because the Depression did not end as a result of that stimulus. We saw the same kind of propaganda, the same kind of signs all over America. So it's happened before.
Well, but it's ridiculous. Can you imagine? First of all, it's an insult to the intelligence of the taxpayers to suggest that we need to tell them that a public works project, that a road project, is their tax money at work. Think if every unit of government did that. If your local school board, if your township officials, if your city government said this sidewalk being paid for by X city, the amount of overhead and unnecessary expense that would be coming in addition to the already costly public work projects that you all pay for with your tax money. It's ridiculous, but it is. It's the same propaganda, narcissism, self-aggrandizing promotional stuff that's indicative of the Obama administration. But my taxpayers are outraged. Why? Because this was supposed to be the biggest infrastructure investment since Eisenhower was president. Those were the president's words. And yet the bill, when it finally passed, had less than 8% of the money going to infrastructure. And now we find of the 8% that went to infrastructure, nearly $100 million of it is going to be spent on these crazy signs that, I might add, in 2 years are going to be in a landfill somewhere.
Right.
How is that environmentally safe? How is that environmentally sensitive?
And it doesn't lower unemployment. I mean, the point is that what happened in the 1930s, they had all these jobs programs. They ended up with just as high unemployment at the end of the 30s as they did in the beginning of the 30s. So it doesn't work. But bottom line, do you think that it's fooling anybody? The American people in the 30s didn't have the kind of communication we had now, the internet, people like Andrew Breitbart. I think now people are more aware of the foolishness of propaganda. No?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, look, here's what we know. They've already spent over $20 million on these signs. From the year since the stimulus bill has passed, well over half of the American people say they are adamantly opposed to the stimulus bill. The latest polling shows 6 out of 10 Americans are unhappy and have no confidence in the president's leadership. So, you know, whether they spend $10 million or, in this case, $20 million on signs to try and self-promote, it hasn't worked. At the end of the day, people are looking at the unemployment line, they're looking at the unemployment numbers, and they're looking at their own job situation, realizing, folks, we're not any better a year and a half later. And it's not going to be more government spending or more signs to tell you about the government spending that's going to get us out of this rut. It's going to be private sector jobs when they feel certain, as you said earlier in your program, about the rules of engagement, the private sector.
Congressman Schock, terrific stuff.